Hello, welcome back to JM Football. My name is Justin Penik. This is the Football Grump. That is Bobby Skinner, and Robert Schmitz is all the way on the end. Fellas, this is our Day 3 Senior Bowl recap, and I want to start off the show by talking about there were some notable guys that did not suit up in practice today. We'll give a list of those players, but which one are you most disappointed in that did not practice today?
Well, Justin, usually you see guys that you feel like did enough, and they basically say, my time here is done, I proved what I needed to, and then they don't practice. We saw Ricky Pearsall, Florida wide receiver, he was done. Roman Wilson felt like he had nothing left to prove. Quinyon Mitchell, DB out of Toledo, he had nothing left to prove. And honestly, good for all three of those guys, they're right. But South Carolina receiver Xavier Legette, why weren't we practicing today? I mean, frankly, I thought we were asking enough questions over the first 2 days, and we got some great battles. I mean, Jamari Thrash, and we'll talk about all that later. Like, plenty of guys capitalized on the extra opportunity that they got in that American practice, but I felt like Legette hadn't really established himself quite yet. I'm surprised he didn't go.
Yeah, if you, I have a list of, 7 guys who are like, main guys who didn't practice, and all of them made sense. I would have liked to see Latu practice a little more, or practice today, but Legette was the one where I thought Legette has looked fine down here. I think, there I thought I wanted him to be the star down here, and he wasn't that, so I guess, my expectations were lowered a little bit. But yeah, really wanted to see him come out here, didn't see him. But something we did see was, I thought, Bo Nix's best day for the national team, right? He didn't do anything wild in team drills, but he was making the right decision. When other quarterbacks weren't, he was accurate.
There was a nice touchdown he threw in the back right part of the end zone today.
When they got to 7-on-7 red zone is when we saw Bo Nix be at his best.
Yeah.
And, hey, we can have a whole conversation of that being the best, why that's the best that he looked. But he did look good, right? There was a one early on where they ran a little stick. They ran the hitch in the flat, and you thought, okay, Bo Nix is throwing to this. And they ran a corner. I'm not sure who it was to, and he hit him, put a laser on him open, right? That wasn't the easy throw. And then he hit Brenden Rice for USC on a nice, tight, contested catch, like really some velocity in there. So was happy to see Bo Nix finally, have a day for himself.
Yeah, I would actually say that Bo Nix played a little bit better than he has been playing this week, but really I thought we saw some bad days from Michael Penix and Hartman today. Hartman's been pretty accurate all week. You know kind of what his deficiencies are, but today he was not accurate. Michael Penix had a lot of misses today, or miscommunication. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell. I will say every time that Penix does have a bad rep, he is pretty good at approaching a coach and the receiver after the rep and kind of talking, and that's why I can't tell who's at fault. But regardless, that was something that I noticed as well.
Yeah, he had some good, like he had the nice throw to Ed McCaffrey in the back of the end zone, right? But like you said, there was just misses outside today that where it's like, man, quick timing, red zone, that's where we want to see you shine.
And like you're talking about, I mean, Senior Bowl is a tough environment for quarterbacks. Yeah, I know in 2018 we got Josh Allen, and 2022, I guess, that was when Malik Willis was throwing the ball through the rain, looked great doing it. But you got to remember that none of this is game planned, none of this is worked out. They don't know the receivers, not really, which is what makes Legette so funny because his quarterback is here and was practicing with them. But anyways, it was good to see Nix bounce back a little bit because 3 straight days of poor play, that would have been tough to swallow.
Justin, on the national team, you talked about this guy today, yesterday. Who shined for you?
I mean, we're going to go right to the offensive line because those are the guys that really stick out to me.
Yeah.
And it's number 78 on the national team. It's Isaiah Adams. I mean, I think especially day 2, day 3 stuck out to me a little bit on day 1, but day 2 and day 3 I think really stole the show. Interior offensive lineman, and the way that he uses his hands is really the thing that sticks out to me. He kind of loses a little bit initially at the point of attack, and he allows some ground, but then you see his legs and his anchor, but then the technique with his hands. And Grump, I thought you had a good point when we were kind of talking on the side. Maybe good hand technique, but maybe it's the upper body strength that's lacking, because eventually you do see he anchors down, and then he really mirrors guys well.
Yeah, I mean, it really looks like he's a little bit thinner up top as well.
Yeah.
We're going through the reps there, and even when he anchors himself, the lower body's enough to sustain the block, but you can still see him getting bent backwards a little bit, especially when he goes up to against much bigger guys on the defense. Another offensive lineman that I thought did well today.
I want to touch on Isaiah Adams a little bit, the Illinois guard, for a second. What I liked about him today is, Justin talked about him yesterday, so I focused on him. I thought he had the best reps versus the guys who have been doing the best down here. Baylor's defensive tackle, Gabe Hall, who has a lot of finesse to his game, shut him down. Dwayne Carter, who I think has a good balance of finesse and strength, shut him down in one-on-ones, and then in the team drills, they had to get to the second level, where I hadn't noticed him a ton because I didn't watch the trenches of the national team a lot on day 2. And today, man, he was the star for me on that side.
I'll tell you something that I'm actually looking out for in the game, which that's a crazy sentence to say, since they're on opposing teams. Devondre Sweat versus Isaiah Adams. If they ever find their way on the field together, since they're on opposite sides, Sweat practices in the afternoon, and then obviously Adams is practicing here in the morning, that's like a matchup that I want to see. I want to see Adams go up against these bigger, stronger defensive tackles, NFL strength. Even I'm going to go back and watch that in college, too, how he does against some of these bigger linemen, because clearly the technique is there. Clearly the hand fighting is there. It's just I want to see that strength.
Also in the trenches, Kansas interior offensive lineman Dominic Penik was somebody that we really didn't know what to make of after the first day. Second day looked pretty good. Yesterday, a little bit better, I guess I should say. And today he looked pretty good. Yeah. And I think that it's really just about he had a little bit of inside and outside in experience at Kansas. Here, he clearly looks a lot more comfortable on the inside and a lot more functional on the inside. So it was nice to see him find a little bit of a spot in the week that he was down here and improve throughout the week down here.
It's kind of over talked about in NFL draft circles of, can this tackle play guard or can this guard play tackle? Blah 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 blah. I'm planting my flag in the ground. Penik is an interior offensive lineman. He was even snapping the ball today, and he was a tackle in 2023 at Kansas. He was snapping the ball today. I actually thought that his best 1v1 reps were at center.
Oh.
So Dominic Penik, a guy that definitely after day 1, it's like, all right, this is a guy that I could just toss away. And then day 2 and day 3 really recovered well.
Absolutely. Grump, I want to ask you about the running back position, and this can be from either side because it's just a position that doesn't get to flash a ton here. And, Robert, you could answer this too. Who has been the back over 3 days that you've come away the most impressed with?
Over the 3 days down here, which we don't really get to watch a lot, but today I would say in the team drills, because of the trenches on the national team, we did get to see a little bit of flash from Marshawn Lynch, Marshawn Lloyd.
Sure.
Marshawn Lynch is.
We talked about him
hopes.
earlier this week.
But he has a lot more flash to him than the other running backs that are down here, and he had I think he had a touchdown in team drills where he reversed field.
Yeah, he's got a nice. He's got a nice, size. What's the word I'm working for? I can't believe I lost. I have it on my notes.
Cutback,
contact balance.
No, it's not.
Burst.
Jump step. A nice jump. Nice jump.
Gotcha.
Cut.
Yes, he does.
He also has made some plays in the receiving game tier 2, so I really liked him. Has there been a back that's flashed for you at all?
Well, every time they go to 7-on-7, or especially when they do one-on-ones, number 40 from New Hampshire, Dylan Laube shows out. Look, I don't have any idea how he is as a runner. I have not crunched the New Hampshire tape, but every time he's out here, he looks a lot like Danny Woodhead from way back in the day, right? Receiving threat back that might give you a little more. Look, if he can block, he might just have a role in the NFL. Yeah, fun guy to watch.
He's been a stud receiver down here, and even in one-on-ones, actually getting it down the field and not just running choice routes that the running backs get.
But on a slot fade.
I believe he actually topped out pretty well in the top speed for the Zebra tracker as well. I want to give one more shot to Kimani Vidal from Troy as a running back. He's less flashy, more bruiser today, where he kind of just barreled his way towards the end zone. And that's kind of who he is a little bit as a player. I'm excited to watch him play on Saturday.
Some of the wide receiver DBs in the national side. Brenden Rice, the wide receiver out of USC, he was here in front of his father, Jerry Rice, today. And the day 1, he had these catches on Johnny Dixon, the Penn State corner, right? And it's like these aren't super translatable because Johnny Dixon is basically holding him, he's getting away, and he's making a tough catch. I think he's kind of flashed down here a little bit, and not just in like the down the field stuff and being physical. Like he had against the Oregon corner, Kyrie Jackson, had a really nice whip route on him that got open. We talked about the Bo Nix throw into the corner. That was to Brenden Rice. I didn't watch much of him coming in, and there was a lot of thought of, he's here because of his father and his name. I think he's quietly looked pretty good.
I can't help but agree with you. I mean, especially since, at least in my opinion, in his USC film, you wondered whether he had the physicality to play to his size. And he came with Mobile with that on his mind, and boy, did he show us. But today, day 3, because obviously you're looking for an entire resume, he needed to win with his feet, and Bobby, I thought he did.
Absolutely.
I do think that there are some of the corners that, to be honest with you, I wanted to see a little more from. Like, in particular, Kyrie Jackson. I really liked him coming into this and ended up way more impressed with Notre Dame's Max, let me see, it's Notre Dame's
Cam Hart,
and then Rutgers is Max Melton. I mixed the two.
Hart had a really good day 3.
Hart had a great day 3, and I thought Melton took advantage of the extra reps that he got that Mitchell wasn't going to serve. And then we got a little bit of a bounce back from Chow Smith-Wade, but were there any other receivers, Grump, that popped to you, at least during this practice?
Not during the national team. I didn't really see anybody else that popped off for the wide receivers other than Brenden Rice.
The only one I think we haven't talked about at all is Malachi Corley is quietly having a good week. It's not a great week. It's not an eye-popping week. He's Western Kentucky. He's somebody that gets comped to Deebo Samuel a lot, and really all I'm looking for there is, do you have the feet to separate? Because you look at a small guy like, Jacob Cowing, like, you know what he's going to do, and he just hasn't been our short king, right?
Cowing left on the cart today, too, and he hasn't had the year.
Oh, man.
But this whole week, we haven't got to see from him what you would think. Like, down here, the short guys should win, right?
You'd hope so.
That could lead into the American team a little bit. I thought Jaquan Jackson had a solid game, the wide receiver out of Tulane. Who, in the beginning of practice, I was like, ooh, hasn't been as good, was Georgia wide receiver Ladd McConkey. There's a couple reps early I didn't like. He really got it together as it went along. Cam Kinchin's the safety out of Miami, who everyone knows I love. I thought he had a really rough day. And one of those reps was against Ladd McConkey, where Cam Kinchin's, if there's anything that he struggles with, is when he is in the slot. He likes to undercut. Well, Ladd McConkey took advantage of that, where he showed an out route, right? Showed that it was an out route. Cam undercuts it, and you're thinking, okay, Cam's going to make a play here. He pops it back up, and he was wide open in the corner. There was another play, I'm not sure who the DB was, where he shakes him off the line, stacks him. Like stacks him within 5 to 6 yards, gets in front of him, shows that fake out left, back open for the corner. He hasn't been my favorite receiver down here, right? I know he's gotten a lot of buzz, but I think he's been consistently good.
There were some phenomenal battles in the wide receiver DB set. And I mean, the best part about it was that a lot of them were prior busters to me. Like, for instance, Jamari Thrash wasn't somebody whose tape that I absolutely loved in Louisville. And I blame you, Jake Plummer, for making that happen. But he comes out here today competitive, man.
He's been awesome down here.
He really has.
Him and Jaquan Jackson, to me, have been the guys who didn't watch any of you, but you popped out the most to me out of the wide receivers that I didn't have any prior knowledge of.
And then Fresno State corner Carlton Johnson and Louisville corner Jarvis Brownlee both played really well.
I'm banging on the table for Carlton Johnson, and part of it is I really love what I've seen out of him, but here's my issue is that it's hard to draft a guy who's 169 pounds, and that's where Carlton Davis is. But
the Emmanuel Forbes.
Down here, he's been awesome. He has been one of the best corners, outside of Quinyon Mitchell.
Seriously,
best, right? He's if you look at the speed charts from Zebra, he's topped out faster than anybody. Not just corners at 22 plus miles per hour. He's locked guys down. He had one of the only interceptions down here in team drills on day one. And I saw him carry guys vertically. He ran a hitch for a guy today. He was all over, right? And he was someone who, again, day one has the interception. Okay, who is this Carlton Davis guy? Yesterday we talked about him. I'm like, man, he's just fast as shit. And then you see him show up on the speed chart, and then today had a dominant day. If there's anyone, if there's a stock riser, I don't know where he's projected to go, but if he's one of 6-7 guys where probably would have never watched that guy if I wasn't down here.
Same. And then 2 other guys, the only ones, if we wanted to just about wrap up skill position, because I still want to kick it to you, Grump, but the tight ends in particular, we didn't see any Jared Wiley today. Obviously happy with his Senior Bowl so far, but Ben Sinnott reestablished himself. I thought he had a better day than he had yesterday, which is great. I mean, he's been playing well, but Jaheim Bell also separated quite a few times. He's a funky one. If you've never heard his name before, Florida State tight end, outstandingly fast, but he's 6'1.5", right? So is he an H-back? Is he a big receiver? Are you going to try to use him in some kind of Debo role? I don't know, but he's a really fun football player to watch, and you wonder if NFL teams will try to see him as maybe Brock Bowers at home, right?
Grump, we saw Kansas State tight end Ben Sinnott a lot today.
Yeah.
He caught a lot of passes. He got separation. But
Yeah, I mean, it really feels to me that through 3 days here, most of the time I'm seeing the separation for him. He's just colliding with the DB and then breaking off of that. I'm not seeing him use his feet to gain any separation yet, and I don't know if that's being coached down here. I can't imagine that it is.
He had some, like he had one on Cam Kitchens today. And hey, if you keep it within 5 yards, you can get away. But he is pushing off on every single play.
He did get flagged today. 2 flags came out on one play, yeah.
For some reason, that's just something I see from tight ends. I don't know why guys get away with it, but you watch Mark Andrews, you watch some of these other tight ends, they get like 10, 12 yards in their route stem, and then they just blow up the DB, and it doesn't get called. It's very NFL.
And a lot of times you don't notice it because, hey, we're watching one-on-ones. You see it when it's 11-on-11. Again, it's kind of part of the tight end position.
Right.
If there's a tight end that I'm coming out here who's like, hey, this guy's a pro tight end, he'll be the best out here, it's probably Ben Stenot. You know, the tight end of Michigan, his name is
A.J. Barnes.
A.J.
Barnum.
A.J. Barner. Today I saw some good blocking reps. He had a nice kick-out block that led to a touchdown. But Ben Stenot has been the one who's at least shown the total package down here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of focused a little bit on the trenches on the American side for a little while, and I saw a little bit of stock droppage from Patrick Paul, the tackle out of Houston today, and a little bit of stock droppage from Christian Jones, the tackle out of Texas. He's kind of been a little up and down the last 2 days, but today Patrick Paul looked like he got beat maybe 3 to 4 times around the edge. He looked a little clunky with his feet. That was a little disappointing to see because he had been impressing me all week.
And his 6'7" frame kind of got used against him, where guys were able to get under his pounds and get some push, and then he wasn't able to, recover on those plays. Like you said, Christian Jones has been up and down. I really like Christian Jones' hands, but in the NFL, you got to have the feet are more important than the hands, where the hands can kind of get you by here. On the D-line, the front from the trenches, Texas defensive tackle Devondre Sweat. We talked about a guy who's the lightest down here in Carlton, Johnson from Fresno. He's the heaviest guy. We didn't weigh in, but he's easily 350-plus pounds. And I think it's a fun conversation to talk about where he goes, what happens with him, because he just bullies people. Like, he's had the only rep down here to just bully Christian Haynes, the guy out of UConn that I like. He just pushes guys back. Here's the thing. There's no, speed or explosion off the line. But in a one-on-one setting, he's able to push those guys back. In the NFL, you get a second set of hands on him just for a second. You slow down that momentum. He's done as a pass rusher, but I think he's going to solidify himself as a very good run-defending nose tackle in the NFL. The question is just where do you decide to select that guy?
Right. And I mean, it's so funny looking at this because he's a nose tackle, right? Like you're just saying?
Yeah.
He's got 33-inch arms. He's pretty big and long for a guy that plays his position, and he should make first contact against nearly any center in the league, which is traditionally a pretty short-armed position, unless you're playing Joe Tippmann, right? But outside of guys like that, I mean, like you're saying, Bobby, there's a potential for a real matchup advantage there. It's just a matter of how high do you want to draft that guy?
Yeah, and he's going to be a useful player in the NFL. It's just, where do you get? But I thought he gradually got better every day here. Now that could be part of, hey, he hasn't played in a few weeks since Texas was eliminated. Didn't weigh in, so which makes you think that he may have been a little out of shape, and he wants to get his weight down before the combine. Where day one I wasn't impressed. Day two had a good day, and then today I thought he just was a bully and dominated guys. A guy on the other side of that with defensive tackles, Braden Frisk out of FSU. He's quietly had a good week. I haven't really talked about him much. He's got good quickness, good first step, and working to that half-man relationship. He's not someone that blew you away, but I thought consistently had some of the more I was probably the most consistent guy on that defensive tackle group for the American side.
I'd actually say that there were 2 other guys that showed up today. Another one that kind of flew under the radar that we haven't talked about that's been okay. Marcus Harris from Auburn, I thought had a pretty good day today. He was pretty okay yesterday and the day before. And I would even say LSU defensive tackle Jordan Jefferson looked pretty good today as well.
The helmet thrower.
The helmet thrower, yeah. He was a little bit more under control. Though it was still chippy today. I would say Texas Tech defensive tackle Miles Cole was getting a lot of nudging from the offensive linemen. A lot of holding back. It was a really good battle in the trenches for this team.
Can I talk about one edge rusher that popped off today that I didn't really think of day 1 and 2? And Byron Young taught me a lesson last year of I was talking to you, Bobby, watching these 1v1s, being like, Byron Young has no size to him. He's very, very small. But, man, he really rushed with a motor. And there wasn't really much of a plan, but he just plays fast, and that's his game. And then, lo and behold, he goes to the Rams, and he leads the Rams in sacks this year. So I'm a little bit more open to edge rushers that may not be impressive on their face. But Nelson Caesar out of Houston, And I think, as we're talking about some of the tackles take a little bit of a step back today, I think it's Nelson Caesar that benefited and had some good reps from Houston, 6'2", 260 pounds. So excited to watch more of him because sometimes, edge rushers and how they perform at the Senior Bowl, you may not want to take that at face value.
Christian Haynes, I want to wrap up on him for the trenches because he's, again, been probably my favorite player down here on the American side. Again, Tavondre Sweat had a nice, rep where he just pushed him back, which no one's done that to Haynes. And Haynes was at center, which isn't going to be his position, but still, that was a rep for him. I thought his best rep, he showed really good hand replacement against Mizzou defensive lineman Darius Robinson. And I want to talk about, and maybe we can finish up talking about Darius Robinson. Every day here, I've came away not very impressed with Darius Robinson. He's not getting blown up or destroyed or anything. He's been good in the run. But then I see from respected people that this guy is getting first-round buzz. Like, he's winning with explosion and technique and strength, right? 6'5", 287-pound edge. They've been playing him a little bit inside here. And I come away, again, disappointed, right? Like, I didn't think he finished any type of rep very well today. Again, like, when he's against a guard, even a good guard, he should be winning, and he should be winning quickly. And there has been 0 quick wins as a pass rusher here besides 1 on the inside in day 1. 1. He's had some wins, but none that have been quick. And the run game today, in the team drills, they ran a pulling, they ran counter, and he is supposed to be the one that levers that guard, plays that outside shoulder to the guard, and he's just rushing upfield. If you're going to make yourself as this big, strong, run-defending guy, you got to slam that dude down and close that gap off, and it led to a big play. And for the team drills, again, I am shocked that there's buzz down here. To me, I think the buzz down here is the people just seeing him moving around between team to drill and being 6'5", 287 pounds ball of muscle. And I like Darius Robinson's film. I think he's worthy of a day 2 pick, absolutely. But the idea that he's getting first-round buzz out of here is wild to me.
I would add one more person into this conversation that was on this team and on the defense, but not on the defensive line. And that was Javon Bullard, the Georgia safety. I had a lot of high expectations on him coming down here and showing that he can man up against guys and play kind of in that slot position. I thought that he had that skill set, and he actually looked really bad all week in all of those situations, but he actually looked pretty good when he was moved up high and just played a traditional safety role. So perhaps I had just pegged him entirely wrong. So it'll be interesting to see him play on Saturday, how he's used, and how NFL teams view him and his versatility going forward, because I apparently misjudged it entirely.
I think it's an under-talked about story how good this safety class is starting to shape up. I mean, all I've heard is that there's even more quality DBs. Because, I mean, look, Bobby, Justin, you guys have, Grump, we've all been in the same position. You go straight from Week 18 of the NFL season to just trying to drink down as much film as possible to prepare for the Senior Bowl. We're not done yet. But the safeties that we've seen here, like you talk about Bullard, I mean, if I had to rank the 8 to 9 safeties that we've had here, he's probably around 5th, because I've had so many other safeties flash at this point, and it's such a fun class, Bobby, for a position that you just don't see that many of these guys drafted every year. There could be some real talent that gets as far as the 3rd round.
And I want to finish off talking about a safety. I just said finish off with Darius Robinson. Miami safety, who's been playing linebacker down here, James Williams, 6'4", legitimately 6'4". Been disappointed, right? I think he he hasn't been very good in the run game at the linebacker spot, which is understandable. But I would have liked to see him be better in coverage, and he just hasn't been able to win versus tight ends one-on-ones. And that's been a little frustrating. Justin, is there a player you want to close off with before we say goodbye to Robert?
No, I'll go down the line. Robert, any final players you want to touch on?
I mean, just touching on it, I think that it's easy to go, oh, well, Ladd McConkey, he's a small guy. Like, what's he really going to do at the next level? And I understand that anytime anybody does anything at the Senior Bowl, everybody freaks out and they go, that guy, he's Cooper Kupp. I was sitting next to somebody who played 9 years in the NFL. He was like, that guy looks like my teammate, Julian Edelman. And I think for all of the hyperbole, Ladd McConkey did a lot here. And for somebody, he and Quinyon Mitchell, I think, as far as the wide receiver DBs go, those are probably your winners at each spot, because Quinyon comes in from Toledo, looks like a legit first-round pick. And, I mean, how long did it take you guys to go from, is he, though, to, oh, no, he absolutely is, first-round pick. Maybe took me 2 days. 2 days.
2 days just to make sure that it wasn't a one-day fluke. Yeah.
Right.
Bobby, any other player?
No, I mean, Christian Haynes is the guy I come out if you're, when I do my team-centric mock draft, he's going to be in it every single time.
Yeah. Grump?
Yeah, I guess Bo Limmer. I know that's probably going to be yours. I'm sorry, but yeah, if that was going to be yours, go ahead and take it away.
No, that was not going to be my player. I wasn't going to wrap it up with any player, but Bo Limmer is a guy that people should be talking about a little bit more. I really wanted a Sweat versus Limmer 1v1 matchup today. Hey, I think that's what Limmer was one of the only guys that really slowed down Sweat through these 3 days, and Sweat was looking really good day 3. I wanted it, didn't get it day 3, and that's okay. Robert Schmitz, please plug your work, where you're coming from, where people can find you.
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at Robert K. Schmitz. We're going to be doing all kinds of analysis as we go through the draft. It's not just Chicago Bears, so there's plenty of reason to check out, even if you're the biggest of Blue Giants fans. But so we're not just sticking to wide receivers, DBs either. I'll be trying to cover as many positions as possible, but plenty of draft work. Find it on Twitter, and then if not, you can search my YouTube channel for more detailed breakdowns, but they're pretty niche, and that's okay.
Genuine thank you to Robert. You've been doing this now with us for 3 years. You've been, we've been, doing podcasts since, 2018, before Talking Giants even existed. You take the time out of your day. You miss out on stuff to help us, and we truly appreciate that. So,
Of course. Love it, man.
I'm not going to be able to say anything nice about you for a few months after that. So, Justin, why don't you wrap us up for the Senior Bowl?
No, Grump, where are you coming from?
I am the co-host of a podcast for the Giants, Just Giants. You can find me on Twitter as well, football_Grump. And I have started a new YouTube channel that is draft-centric this year, just called Football Grump. So you can search me there.
Let's get that in the description, and we'll say our final thank yous to Grump on Talking Giants later.
You got it. So thank you. That's who I'm going to thank next. Thank you to checking out these 3 days of Senior Bowl coverage, our Senior Bowl recaps. And we're not done. We're still going to be releasing clips. We're still going to be releasing some film breakdowns. Bobby's going to be doing that on some 1v1 stuff. Still releasing some voiceovers. So Senior Bowl coverage ain't done, even though the Senior Bowl's done. Peace. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you later.